Well, the charts look horrendous, right? Like so many of the stocks in the XBI and biotech more broadly are trading close to 52-week lows. So that doesn't inspire a ton of confidence. So we do need a little bit of mean reversion in the space. I think, some of that could come in the form of M&A, although it hasn't, had a huge impact lately. But just, looking at names that are down and out and really haven't been down on any fundamental news, I think that's what it's going to take. I think it's going to take investors looking at this sector into 2022, saying, okay, we haven't seen this type of disparity between the market and biotech in, 6+ years, and then, really going back more than a decade in terms of how bad it is. I think this is the top year, the #1 year for the S&P return versus the XBI. So looking at it into next year as a little bit of a reversion trade, trying to find some stocks that are not trading at all-time highs, because this year has been all about momentum. And now with, momentum out of the group, it's going to be a little bit tricky. But typically I would say M&A, but hasn't really had a huge impact lately. We've seen 4 transactions since the summer, and investors really haven't been clamoring at all.
Jared, I'm your ordinary doofus investor. I have no idea. I know these names. I know Biogen, and I know Vertex, and I know Gilead, and so on and so forth. But I have no idea. If I tried to look, only Meg Terrell would understand what they do. I can't understand it. So am I better off going into an ETF or a biotech mutual fund and letting smart people like you pick my stocks? Or should I go and try and do my research and choose my own stocks, maybe with an advisor? What's the best way to play it?
Well, Tyler, I think you've just hit the nail on the head, because I think it's been difficult for healthcare investors and healthcare experts to figure this tape out, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
There have been so many companies that have been created just over the past 5 years. I think we've introduced over 600 publicly traded companies into biotech. And then there's countless names in the private realm, that some of which we know, some of which we don't even know. So that just the sheer number of stocks or companies that you have to learn and understand has made this very, very convoluted and very complex for, even the smartest, biotech investors out there. So I think, the sentiment that you raised is probably one of the bigger issues that we see.
So which should I do? Should I go into an ETF or a fund, or try and pick my own way?
Well, I think you have to probably do a combination of both. I mean, I think, the XBI as an index has had, many more good years than bad. This is going to wind up being one of the worst years on record if we keep up this pace. Mm-hmm. It's going to have a, -10 to -15% year, somewhere in that range, but it's, roughly down 10% this year. But it's been a very good index historically. So I think going back to that probably makes sense.